Hello, and welcome to this edition of Takeaway Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing preschoolers in the forensic interview. And while preschoolers can give us reliable and accurate information, generally they're not going to do that in a spontaneous manner. We're going to have to ask particular questions to gather the information that we need for a multidisciplinary team and our investigators. Preschoolers are especially challenged to give us information during stressful situations. And if you think about it, the interview, even though you have a very child-friendly interview room, you yourself are a very friendly and competent professional, we're asking children to come into an unfamiliar environment and listen to our questions, do complex memory searches, and understand questions that they're normally not asked in the home or school environment. Children as young as 3 years of age can give us information, but certainly as the children get older and they turn 4, they turn 5, they're going to give us more details dependent on their age and their development. And the number of details that they can give us in the forensic interview increases as they age. Now, a key component to conducting a forensic interview with a preschooler is the types of questions that we ask. And we can't approach these interviews with preschoolers like we do other children. A key component to conducting a forensic interview with a preschooler is the questions that are asked. Now, we do know from literature, and we have a large body of literature that supports asking broad, open-ended questions, because these do tend to elicit the most details and the most accurate information during a forensic interview. However, for preschoolers, these questions, the broad, open-ended questions, are too big. And often what we find when we ask these questions is that children don't understand. When that happens, they either have a non-response, in other words, they just don't respond to the question, or they look away, or they may give us an answer that's incongruent with the question that is asked. So what we have to do instead is to come back and ask what we call a cued invitation. So a cued invitation is actually taking information that the child has given us in a prior statement, repeating that, and then asking for more information. So let's just say a narrative invitation is going to be, tell me more. A cued invitation is, oh, you said that Bobby touched your woo-ha. Talk to me or tell me more about Bobby touching your woo-ha. So we're actually repeating back what they've said and then following it up with another question. And this is going to give us more information and more details, and going to work better with preschoolers in those broad, open-ended, narrative encouraging invitations. What happens though, because children, again, often don't understand our need for details in a forensic interview, they don't give us everything. So we're going to have to come back, narrow the focus of our questions, and come back and often ask maybe the who and the what and maybe the where. So if you are coming in, you've asked your cued invitations, but you still need some information, then come back and you can say, well, where were you at when Bobby touched your woo-ha? Or you could say, what happened next when Bobby touched your woo-ha? So that's kind of forward order thinking, which preschoolers can do. Now, what preschoolers have a hard time with as far as the WH questions is the when, because that's a temporal component of an interview that they may not be able to give us, and then also how. Preschoolers are very concrete, they're very literal, and the when and the how may be too big for these children. So to me, if in an interview you get a who and a what and a where, folks, you're golden. And to expect more from preschoolers in the forensic interview is literally setting these children up for failure. We want them to succeed, so we need to ask them questions that are appropriate for their development. So let's recap what we've talked about. Invitations can be too broad for our preschoolers. They may do well with a cued invitation, so again, taking a clue from a prior statement and using that then to ask our next question. And then again, if we need more specific information, we need to come back with those WH questions as to where and who and what happened. And this will give us, hopefully, the information that we need for the forensic interview. Another challenge during a forensic interview is trying to determine a child's clothing placement. We often see in interviews where interviewers will say, well, your clothes on, or were they off? Were they, where's the hand inside or outside or over or under? What we've even witnessed is interviewers taking a Kleenex box, inserting a marker into the box, and then trying to determine placement. So it's rather an assessment that we see where they'll put the marker in the box and then outside the box and over the box and under the box. And folks, what we know from the research, and there was a great article, Stolzenberg was the lead author on that article that looked at clothing placement and what they called the box test. And what we found is that preschoolers don't do well with the box test. In fact, it did not indicate their ability later than to ask these types of questions in the interview. What Stolzenberg and the researchers found, if we need to understand clothing placement, the best questions that we can ask is where were your clothes? So, if you're talking to preschoolers, make sure that you use cued invitations, repeating back something the child has said, and then tell me more about, and then using their words. If you have to, come back with the who and the what and maybe the where. Remembering that just because of development and because they are concrete and very literal, that the how and the when may be too big, is probably not going to get you the information that you're looking for. As always, folks, we want you to check out calio.org for more information on preschoolers. Look to the NCAC Virtual Training Center. There's some wonderful webinars on talking with preschoolers, and if you have any comments or questions, please email me or give me a call, and I'd be glad to visit with you. Thanks, and have a good day.